Welcome back to Level Up, a podcast for you because you don't know what you don't know. And I'm John Cale. I'm the host of the show. Today we're going to be talking about a big subject that people all over are very, very interested in. We're going to be talking about credit. This is a two-part episode due to the amount of information that I need to provide to you. So I can tell you that in my personal life, there are things that I'm going to share with you in this episode and in the following episode that I didn't even know until I was probably in my late 30s or 40 years old. Very important subject matter because this will deal with your life and the things that you will be able to do, acquire, and enjoy as an adult as you grow into your life and your career and the future that you have planned. So I would urge you today to really pay close attention, maybe to take some notes in your phone that you can go back and reflect on. I'm just coming back off of a vacation last week. We were up in Silver Lake, Michigan at the Silver Lake Dunes, which are, I think, some of the biggest sand dunes this side of the Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken, miles and miles. And I'm not talking about just little sand dunes. I'm talking about miles and dunes that you have to go up that are a couple hundred plus feet, 200 to 300 feet high, where you can ride four-wheelers, you can ride pretty much anything that you can create and get on the dunes that's safe and legal out there, as well as having a pedestrian side. So all of you who are listening to the podcast, which are a lot of guys, if you've got a big truck or you know someone who does, this is a place that you want to go check out. You can go by yourself, take your girlfriend, take someone with you, but it is a good time to go up there and be on those dunes, miles and miles. I mean, you think it literally is like you're on Mars. I mean, literally it doesn't seem like the same place. And it's like a desert, but it is so fun. One side of them goes into Michigan, the lake, Michigan, and the other side goes into Silver Lake, where you can actually get out on that lake as well. So we're just getting back from that, had a great time with my family, and wanted to spend a lot of time in preparation for this discussion around credit. This is something that is very important. So when I say the word credit, what do you feel when you hear that word? Does it cause you confusion? Does it cause you anxiety, fear, panic? Do you feel like I have absolutely no clue what credit is, what a credit score is, what a credit bureau is? I'm just completely swimming. And this is really something you have to understand because, it's kind of like taking care of your body. If you neglect things with your body, eventually you will have a major problem. It's just going to happen and it's going to blow you up. Credit is this way in the physical world. If you don't understand it and how to use it, it will blow you up. Okay, so it's important that you pay attention today. So depending on your age, your place in life, this is going to affect you, right? And what I want to tell you today about me is that I have experienced the high of credit, of having great credit, being able to get anything that I wanted. And I have also experienced the low of credit and having lost everything in my life and gone through bankruptcy. So I have been on both ends of this spectrum, and I really understand what it means and what it does to people when you have to walk through it. So I'm speaking to you today from experience. I'm not coming to you with just a bunch of stuff I made up or, sat up in bed one night and said, wow, I think I'll talk about this. This is really something to help you. Here's something I want to state to you, okay? Here's my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor, a certified planner of any type, okay? Nor do I play one on TV. I am a guy who has lived what I'm telling you and experienced things around credit that I want to share with you. You can do with it whatever you would like, okay? So that's my disclaimer. You can't come back and say, well, I watched your podcast and you told me this and I tried it and my life blew up. Well, no, because I'm telling you, I'm not a certified schooled planner. I'm a guy who's walked through the highs and lows of this and have real, down on the road stuff to share with you, okay? Over the past several months, in my discussions with all types of people, bartenders, servers, workers of all types, blue collar, professional people, one of the things that I consistently am hearing from people is, man, I wish someone would have told me when I was younger and explained this to me so I understood what credit is and how it can affect my life. I hear from people constantly, they never taught me this in school. No one told me this in school. And that's absolutely true, because I think if you remember back in my earlier episodes, I shared the fact that I got tired of the career world and went into teaching juniors and seniors in high school for about 3 years. And, nobody's teaching them that stuff. Nobody's really helping them learn it. They might talk high level, but the problem is they don't apply it. If it's not applied to somebody's life, it's just bouncing off and it doesn't matter. So I hear that all the time. I talked to a bartender recently who's 22, 23 years old. And one of the things she said to me, I said, what's one of your biggest challenges that you're facing? She said, oh my gosh, I've completely destroyed my credit. I had no idea what was going on. And now I'm trying to get it all back together. I have heard that story from multiple people. Many of you who are watching may today be going, I have no idea and I'm in trouble and I need to understand how to get out of this situation that I'm in. Okay. So that's why I'm doing this, because I want to help you out. All right. So let's start with the basic understanding of what is credit. Okay. So I've tried to lay this out in a very detailed way, yet simple, so that you can follow it and it will make a lot of sense to you. So let's determine what is credit. Okay. Credit is a trust-based relationship where a borrower receives something of value, a car, goods, services, etc., and you agree to repay the lender at a later agreed to date, typically with interest. Okay. So if you don't understand interest, what that basically means is you want to get a car and they run your credit score and determine you fit. Now I'm going to talk about what all that means, what your score needs to be, how you get the score. I'm going to talk about it. Just stay high level with me. They get your score. They say, hey, yeah, you're good. We're going to lend you the 10 grand. The bank says, we're going to give you the 10 grand for the car, but we're going to charge you 9% interest. Okay. So you're not going to pay just 10 grand for the car. You're going to pay 10 grand for the car. Plus in our county, you're going to add 6.75% for the tax. And then they're probably going to get you for a fee and a cleanup on the car and a transport. So boom, 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 boom. And then they're going to say, here's the amount of money that you're going to finance. Let's just say for fun that it's $12,000 just for the fun of it. They're going to now add 9.9% annual on that. And then that's the amount that you're going to ultimately translate into payments for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Okay. So the goal with credit is people are going to lend it to you. They're going to give you the money, but they're going to charge you just for the sheer pleasure of getting their money and using it. Okay, that's the game. So it's all based on trust. Credit is an agreement you make. Someone trusts you based on your score and your payment history and a lot of other things. And now you have the ability to get something that you want now and pay for it over time. Okay, let me give you one current stat on the market that's taking place right now. In April of 25, just 3 months ago, take a guess on how much consumer debt there is in the United States of America. Okay, just take a second, run your little head around, let your brain twist for a second and think about a number that you think the total amount of debt that you and I have that we owe. That means everybody's car payments, credit card payments, home payment, all that stuff together, right? That number is $17.7 trillion. Now I say that number and you may think, oh, okay, 17 trillion. It looks the same on a piece of paper as 17 billion because I can't understand the difference, just looking at a number. It says billion versus trillion. Well, let me give you a feel for that, okay? If you took a penny and you took that penny and set it up against another penny and then up against another penny, do you know how many miles of pennies you would have with 17 trillion pennies? You're probably not going to come up with that answer real quick before I can tell you, and I can't burn the podcast time putting it up for you. So I'm going to tell you the answer, okay? So if you put pennies together and you had 17 trillion of them, it would enable you to have a line of pennies that would go from the earth to the sun, around the sun back to earth, and then have 15 million miles left of pennies. So that gives you some perspective. The sun is 93 million miles away, right? So 93 million miles there, back to Earth 93 million miles, and you still got 15 million to spare. That gives you a feel for how much the number 17 trillion is, right? It's a lot of money in the United States right now, okay? And it's going up about 1.5% a year, okay? And of the $17 trillion of debt total that everybody in the country owes, 1.1 trillion of it is credit card debt. So almost roughly 10% of it, maybe a little less, 8%, is credit card debt. So this is just a current stat to help you understand how big of a deal this really is in our country, okay? So the word for today, I always have a word, or I try to anyway. The word for today is understanding. You've got to really get a grip and understand what's going on with credit. Can you think of a time in your life when you thought that you understood something and you really didn't? That you thought, hey, I have a grip on this, I got it, I understand it, and then all of a sudden some light was cast and you got some facts and you got some new information and you realized I really had no clue what I was doing. Well, this is something you do not want to take place with credit. It is legal. It is reality. There are laws after law around it. And it's kind of like the law and traffic and insurance, right? Like if you've ever gotten stopped by the cops and you did something truly, like you didn't make a conscious decision when you were driving that I'm going to speed, or I don't care what that sign says. It's a school zone. I'm going to go 40, right? It's not a conscious decision. Maybe you missed the sign and you were speeding in a school zone. Okay. And it was a true mistake, right? Well, when the police officer comes up to you and you try to say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't know. He's going to say, well, there are signs on the road that tell you this is a school zone. This is how fast you should be going. And you're going to, but I didn't know. And he's going to say, well, I'm really sorry, but you're going 45 in a school zone. I'm giving you a ticket, right? I'm not going to let you off. Why? Because it's a law, right? It doesn't matter. You can beg and squeal and scream and you can lose your mind and get mad at the officer. None of that matters. Okay. I want you to hear this. Just because you throw a fit, none of that's going to matter. Why? Because it's an absolute, man. It's a law. You can't do that. So credit is kind of that way. Okay, I want you to understand that's the way credit is. There are guidelines, and this is the way the world runs. And you may not like it, and you may not want to play by the rules, but if you want to use it, you're going to have to understand it. So understanding is our word for the day, because it's a big deal. I'm going to ask you to be open to considering some new information today, okay? And here's another biggie. Think about application. I want you to think about taking what we're talking about and applying it to your life. You can come to these podcasts over and over and over again on all of the different subject matters we talk about. But if you never take something from it and apply it into your life, you're not getting any value. It's just hitting you and bouncing off, and you heard a great idea, but it's not changing your life. You have to on purpose decide, I'm going to do something with this, and I'm going to put it into play. And as a result of that, I'm going to see some change. Okay. So one of the first things I want to talk to you about in this episode 1, I'm going to set the stage, and then I'm going to give you some really good stuff in episode 2 regarding how they figure your score and some good resources that are out there right now and products in the market and all those kind of things. So first of all, what are credit bureaus? Okay. We hear about them. We hear names. We don't really know. Let me give you the facts on what a credit bureau is, right? A credit bureau is basically an organization that offers credit reports, scores, and identity protection, okay, on consumers. Now, they do stuff on businesses. That's a whole nother discussion we'll talk about. But it's a data source, right? There are a source of data that's consolidated on consumers, right? Most of the time tied to your social security number, right? So they can find you, bang, like that. And they keep track of your bill payments, how much debt you have, how many loans you have, right? They keep all of that information. So it's a centralized source of information about you so that credit can be issued by a lender of some type on your behalf so that you can get something that you want, okay? They provide consumer credit data to the lenders, and to employers. So they're providing information about you to a bank who's considering giving you a loan for something, a car, getting your roof done, a house, some other type of thing, a boat, right? They need to know about you and remember, credit is a trust relationship. So they need to understand what's your score. Can I trust you? Okay. Each bureau may have slightly different data. So there are 3 specific bureaus in the country that we use. There are 3 primary credit bureaus that you need to know that exist. Typically the type, just the type of score, I'm not talking about the numbers yet, but the types of score, just the buzzwords are a FICO, F-I-C-O score, or a Vantage score. Depending on the bureau, they use different scores. Now, you may say, well, what the heck does that mean, right? So, for example, my understanding is most of the time, a FICO, F-I-C-O score is what a car dealer will use in giving you a car loan. That score is something that they standardly use, FICO, right? A Vantage score is just another credit score that one of the bureaus uses that's different than FICO. But I know for sure that typically they use, I believe, a FICO score for a car. So there are 3 different main bureaus that have the data. So the first one is Equifax, first of the 3. It was involved, you may have heard about this, it was involved in a major data breach of information back in 2017, which kind of changed and revolutionized the credit bureau industry. It prompted a wide security reform across the security and confidentiality and Loctite, airtight hold of consumers' personal data. I mean, this data is your personal information. This is your SOCH. This is all of your account numbers. There's bank information. I mean, this is big time, right? So Equifax is number 1 of those credit bureaus. Not number 1 in like it's the winner, but it's one of them. Number 2 is Experian, E-X-P-E-R-I-N. Experian is a second credit bureau. It is a global credit reporting agency, so a little bit more vast, okay? It's headquartered in Ireland, and it offers all kinds of services like the others, but it has a specific service it offers called Boost, which can add utility and phone payments to your credit history, which is really interesting because not everybody reports those things to the credit bureau, how you pay your utilities and your phone. Now, on the positive side, for you, if you pay your phone bill and your utility bill on time, it builds your credit good, right? The bad thing is that you could pay all your other bills on time, and if you're late on your utility and your cell payment, right, then it's going to screw your credit history up. So kind of a double-edged sword with Experian. The third one is TransUnion, all right? And TransUnion is known for its friendly consumer credit tools, right? Identity theft protection. It seems pretty easy to use for consumers. So the 3 credit bureaus, again, right, are TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Those are the 3 main bureaus. Now, I also want to throw in here Credit Karma, okay? But Credit Karma is not really a credit bureau. Credit Karma kind of hooks to, if you think about these 3 credit bureaus, and here's Credit Karma kind of connects to these bureaus and pulls data from them. Now, what I don't know about Credit Karma is how real time that information is. So is it real time? Like if I go to Credit Karma, is what they're saying right now the same as what's in the other 3 bureaus? I'm not sure that that's true. There may be some type of a lag in the data. It might be a month. It might be 2. I'm not sure what it is. The other thing is, do they get all of the same information from the credit bureaus that the credit bureaus hold, or is it limited? Okay. Why is Credit Karma a good tool? Why are we talking about Credit Karma? Because it is a free credit monitoring service. I want to make sure you understand it is not a credit bureau. It is a monitoring service for you and I as consumers to touch and feel our credit score and see what it is, although it may be a little different than the main bureau scores. What I find many times is Credit Karma scores tend to be a little higher than what the actual credit bureaus are rating you. So you could have a credit score of 680 on Credit Karma, but the TransUnion score or the Experian or Equifax score might have you at a 660. Right? What I find is that the main bureaus tend to be a little lower than what Credit Karma shows. Now, the other benefit to Credit Karma is that in addition to being connected to the data and having access to your credit and letting you see it, right? It's a free tool. The other thing is that it has the ability and connection to all kinds of companies that do lending. So all of these companies, right? These companies and advertisers who want you to get cars and car loans and credit cards and refinancing and home loans and on, personal loans, they all buy into the platform with Credit Karma. They probably are paying a particular price to be able to put their ads into Credit Karma's platform. And then within Credit Karma's platform, those ads will get pushed to people who have credit scores and credit at certain different levels and different types. And these advertisers' information will get pushed to you. If you have a bad credit score, for example, this company will give car loans to you, but they're going to charge you a super high interest rate. Well, they're going to push that ad to you in Credit Karma. Okay. So they're customizing advertisements in Credit Karma for you based on your scores and your activity from a credit perspective, which is a good thing, because if you have bad credit and you're at Credit Karma, there are products you can get where people will lend you money and help you get things. The problem is you're going to pay a ton of interest. You're going to pay a lot to get that money. And, where if you have super good credit, you might get money for, let's just say 9 or 10%. But if you have bad credit, you might pay 30%, right? That means you're paying so much just to get every dollar, you're paying 30% against it just to get the money because you have bad credit. See, this is what they do. It's the game, right? This is how they play. This is why I'm telling you that good credit is very important and you need to watch it, okay? So but I would urge you, Credit Karma, something you should sign up for. It's free. And that would be an action item from today, right? Take that, go sign up, explore it, check it out, see what it'll show you, see what your score is, and get a grip on looking at what, how things are listed in there, whether you're up to date, you're green and you're on time, or you're late, or you're really late, that kind of stuff. Okay. On your payments. So what is a credit score? Okay. The fact is that the credit score is the number, the actual score that's assigned by the bureau, the credit bureau, based on your payments, your amount of credit, length, and type of credit. Okay. That's what it is. Your credit score is a number, right? That the bureau says, boom, here's the number, 700, 650, 300, whatever it is. And it's based on all of those things. Okay. And so we want to talk about what those numbers are. Now, in the second episode, I'm going to deal with how they determine what your number is. We're going to get into what percentage of this plays into that to your number, right? So you'll know exactly the categories that they look at to give you a credit score. But what I want to look at right now is the credit scores themselves. I want you to understand what a good one is, what a bad one is, and what it means, okay? So as a result, the lowest score that you can typically get is a 300. And the lowest category there is 300 to 579. That's considered poor credit, okay? If you're in the 300 to 579 credit score range, you are done right now, okay? There's not much you're going to do. Maybe very limited folks will offer you the ability to get credit at a 579, but 300 to 579 is poor credit, and it's going to be hard for you to get anybody to lend you money, okay? The next category is a 580 to 669. That is considered fair credit, okay? In that range with fair credit, you probably can get a car finance. You might pay more interest, right? You can rent a place, maybe rent a home, rent an apartment. House would potentially be questionable, okay? You might find some lenders who will lend on a home, but they may require a lot of money down. They may charge you insurance to make sure you make your payments, which is an additional cost, and you may get a high interest rate, okay? This is part of it. This is what I'm trying to tell you, is that the better your score, the more money you save, okay? 670 to 739. 670 to 739 is kind of the middle of the road, considered good. That's a good score, okay? You pretty much now can get anything within reason that you wanted to buy. You want to get you want to go get a new car, you're going to be good. You want to buy a boat, most likely you're good. You're in the zone to get a home as long as you meet the requirements of down payment, depending on the lender, because some lenders will require you to put down, 1%, 3%. Some will say, hey, I want 10%. Some will say, I want 20. And if you don't give me 20% down, I'm going to charge you mortgage insurance, right, on top of it. So you're going to be in the zone at a 670 to 739 where anything within reason is within your grasp, okay? Above that, 740 to 799 is very good, right? The same thing. You're going to be able to pretty much get anything you want. Now you're going to start really being concerned because you're going to be getting all kinds of offers to like just get so much stuff. Like, hey, we'll give you this and we'll give you that and we'll do that and you should buy this, right? And what's great is, hey, everybody wants to loan you. The other positive thing about that is that the rates are low. Because you're in a very good category, 740 to 799 score, you're going to get super low rates on loans and money that people want to lend to you, right? Wonderful situation. Danger. The danger is you have so much, you start going, yep, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. And all of a sudden, you have all of these loans and all of these bills, and you're in trouble, right? And you've got payments for 2 years here, 1 year here, 5 years there. And all of a sudden, you realize, holy crap, I need a raise to deal with this, right? And then this is where a spiral of bad news can start to happen for you, okay? The highest score area is 800 to 850. 800 to 850, which is excellent credit. It's excellent. Again, best of everything. You're going to get the lowest rates, anything you want. This is my son-in-law, okay? My son-in-law's credit score is like 8 something. He's in the excellent realm. He's done extremely well managing his credit. Him and my daughter, very proud of them, but that's where he's at. So those are the score ranges, okay? So keep in mind, a good score is 670 to 739, okay? A fair score is 580 to 669. So make sure you keep note of those things as you start to look into your credit, okay? So let's talk about the types of credit. I want to go over that before we move out of this into episode 2, and we move into a deeper subject for you to understand how they score and how these numbers are put together. So there's revolving credit, okay? Revolving credit is credit where you borrow to a set limit and you repay it, okay? Credit card is an example of revolving credit. A line of credit on your home. You have a house and you get a line of credit against your house because let's just say you have a $300,000 house and you have $150,000 that you own. You actually own 150 and you only owe the bank 150, right? Well, the bank says, oh, you own 150. I'll give you credit up to $100,000 because you already own 150 of your house. So they give you a home equity line of credit, right? That is a revolving credit, right? There's no, in many cases, fixed payment, right? And so what happens is you're making a minimum. You may be making a payment on it, but anything that's left unpaid, it continues to accrue interest, right? So this can go on for years and years and years and years. This is the credit card trap, right? Where you use a credit card and charge all this money on it. And all of a sudden, you're making this minimum payment and your balance isn't going down. You owe $3,000 and you make a payment every month for a year and your balance is still the same. That's because they're charging you some high interest rate just for the fact that they let you use the money on the credit card. Okay. So trap, we're going to talk about some of that, but that's revolving credit. Okay. An installment type of credit is your car. Your car is an installment loan. A mortgage is an installment loan. Personal loans. A big thing today is buy now, pay later types of loans. Okay. Let me give you an example of that. I bought a hot tub several years ago from, where did I buy it from? The pool place. I can't even remember the name of it. Lighthouse Pools. Really nice hot tub. And Wells Fargo did basically a buy now, pay later. It was a, 18-month, same as cash deal. So basically, they gave me the hot tub. I didn't pay any money. And they said, as long as you pay this hot tub off in 18 months, we're not going to charge you any interest. So they're basically giving me money free for 18 months. So I don't have to go get it somewhere else. And as long as I pay it off, I'm good. Here's the problem. If I don't pay it off in the 18 months, they charge me all the interest for all 18 months for the total amount of the hot tub. And I then have to start making payments on it. Okay. If you don't keep your word and you don't pay it off in 18 months, you're going to end up with, thousands of dollars. They're just going to go here, boom, you still owe the hot tub amount and boom, all this money for the interest, start making this payment. So you really have to know how to maneuver through some of these things, or it can become a big bomb and blow your life up. Student loans, right? These are real things that people have too. You got student loans that go into play after you graduate, you start paying on them. I think you have an opportunity to put them in forbearance at certain times, but student loans are very real and you've got to pay them off. And we're going to talk about ways that you can help with that and things you can do with that as we move on through this episode and into the next one. Okay. So let's look at some current statistics. More sense now for you to understand these statistics than if I would have shared them with you at the beginning of the podcast, because now you have a little bit more knowledge and this is going to make a lot more sense to you. Okay. I want you to understand that with regard to credit card balances and growth. Okay. So credit card debt in the country in Q1, so January, February, and March of this year, that the average person who has a credit card, average person who has a credit card has $7,321 of unpaid balance on their credit card. The average person with a credit card in our country. That's up almost 6%. It's growing, okay? In a household, the average balance is $10,700. So not just a person with the card, but the total within a household. This is finding very interesting statistics that the average credit card interest rate per year, average rate per year, right, is 21.9 to 22%. So almost 23% they're being charged on a credit card to use a credit card in early this year, okay? People are going 90 days late. That category of 90 days late on their credit card payments is rising, okay? Like over 2%. It's continuing to rise, even in high income areas. It's not just folks who aren't making a lot of money, but it's also high income places where people are going to 90%, okay? From a credit score perspective, in the country, the FICO score, remember which I talked about for car, and they use that as one of the main scores, it dropped to 715 in April, just a couple months ago. So, hey, the average U.S. consumer has a score of 715, which is actually, I think, according to our chart, very good. Okay, so they're doing really well or good in that bucket of good credit scores. And one of the things they're finding is that Gen Z and millennials among card holders have an average score of 750. And their scores are actually better than folks ahead of them, and like the Xers and the Boomers and on past them. So it appears that if you're a millennial or a Gen Z, that you're doing fairly well managing your credit card, okay? And as far as the use of credit cards, right, Americans currently hold about 3.9 cards. So the average American has 4 credit cards. Now that may include your bank debit card and a credit card, right? With over 800 million cards in circulation. That's what this stat is saying. So about half of the people carry a balance month to month, right? So about 50-50. 50% of the people pay off their credit card every month, and 50% of the people don't, okay? The buy now, pay later trends, which I mentioned to you earlier, is a great thing. It's growing significantly. Listen to this. It went from $2 billion in 2019 to $24 billion in 21. So in 2 years, that industry grew 10 times plus in just 2 years. Everybody's getting on that train. Yeah, give me the stuff. I'll pay you in 24 months, 12 months, right? And remember, the minefield there is if you don't pay it off, you got to come up with all the interest that they didn't make you pay up front, okay? So those are some real stats about the current scenario and the current marketplace. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I've covered these things today to give you a nice intro so that this all makes sense. And hopefully I've done it in a way that has been, methodical and makes sense to you. And now you're at a point where you have a decent understanding, okay? So what I want you to do based on this first episode is I want you to look at your situation. And I want you to, first of all, if you're not a Credit Karma person, go sign up for Credit Karma. It's free. Familiarize yourself with it. Get in there and look at it. It's a great tool. Just realize the score may be slightly higher than what your real score is, but it's not like night and day, okay? And tell your friends about it as well. I would also ask you to tell your friends about this podcast. Would you like it? Would you subscribe to it? If you believe in what I'm trying to do and in this subject matter, would you please, bring a couple or 3 people into the next episode and subscribe and like it. So the next episode, on episode 2, we're going to deal with these things. Now we're going to get into some stuff that's really going to help. Now that you understand, we can give you information to use. Number 1, we're going to talk about how to get credit, just a short little piece on that, and the formula used to set your score. That's a big one. So how are the bureaus determining whether you're a 700 or a 400 or an 800, right? I'm going to help you understand how they do that so that you can control it better, okay? I want to give you some ideas about how to stay out of trouble with credit, okay, and the pitfalls of it. And I'm going to give you some good options to consider today around different credit products that are currently real-time in the market that you can go check out depending on where you're at in life and what you're looking to do, okay? So I want to thank you very much for taking time to come into this episode on my credit score, what the heck is up, right? To give you some more understanding. I want to remind you that what I'm trying to do here, folks, is more than just a podcast. I really, from the beginning, have said I really want this to become a movement where people understand that we're just trying to provide information across a variety of real life, very raw conversations in which you get help and information from someone who's been through a lot in life and can maybe save you years of wandering in a direction that you don't want to go, okay? So please consider telling somebody. Let me know. Give me some comments. I would really appreciate that. I would also consider for you to go and look at my book, Finding the Answer. It's up on Amazon, Finding the Answer by Cale. And until next time, I'm going to just ask you to please do something. Remember that you're unique. There's only one you. I'm John, and I'm out.